All right, now it's time for night. This is one of those that got weird in a strange way because of the fact that, okay, y- one of the things I've often commented on is how a lot of the titles are split titles. I think the reason they're split titles is that it's a reflection of the plot being compressed because they realized they didn't actually have enough story to make a full episode, so they s- made what they could out of the footage they had, and thus ended up splicing together pieces of two different episodes to make a single episode. Just a guess on my part, but it seems to fit the facts. And day and night feel like parts of the same episode. Like, I don't know, did they like decide that the fight scene was long enough to make it its own episode? I don't know, because that's mostly what this is, a really, really drawn out fight scene. Which in a TTRPG, that would be, a boss fight kind of thing. You have an entire party fighting the boss and not doing so well. But it takes, 30 minutes for the fight to get uh, fully resolved. In this case, the boss ends up, not actually sticking around. He does a whole ninja vanish routine multiple times for reasons that don't fully make sense. I mean, you can hypothesize and stuff, but it's not actually explained in this show what his actual actions are. And this is also notable for the fact that it um, is the first on-screen in a official canon production use of, dang it, I just blanked on the name. Yes, it's that unimportant. Wahahaha. Cortosis. Yeah, this stuff. Now, that's the thing about this that I personally found to be weird, and I'm going to do a video on cortosis, I guess, is that they literally never even mentioned that it exists prior to this scene, which is kind of strange because they have the bad guy character in multiple episodes prior to this. No mention of the existence of cortosis, though. Well, okay, one thing we do know is that they were originally planning to not introduce him at all before the last half of the season. Then they did a rewrite because he was doing a good job as Chimere, so they decided they wanted to have more of him in the show or something. Yeah, massive rewrite because he does a good acting job. Yeah, okay, whatever. That might actually explain why they don't introduce Cortosis earlier because, you don't see him. He shows up, he does cool stuff. Like, what? How is he immune to lightsabers? And so on and so forth. They were not planning on introducing the character, so introducing his gimmicks without him would be a bit odd, yes. Anyways, so as a side story here, and pretty much the only side story we have here is May is actually coming to Kelnaka's hut because she wants to kill Kelnaka. But obviously he's already dead. Now, this is one of those things that gets a bit weird because of the fact that I'm genuinely not sure what exactly their plan was for the lightsaber fight. It ends up coming across as a bit of a disjointed mess where it's hard to follow what's going on because of the fact that it's at night and they don't film it so that you can actually see what's going on. They literally set it up so that only things that are illuminated by something burning or a lightsaber glowing can be seen at all in some ports, which makes for something that's not very satisfying to view. Anyway, though, what would you do with this in a TTRPG? Um, well, one thing that's interesting about this is that the whole cortosis thing, as a defensive ability for a boss, that's a pretty good idea. It's like, oh, you swing a lightsaber at it. Oh, let's see here. Yep, the boss has blocked it with his cortosis armor. Your lightsaber is now shut off. You know what? As a TTRPG mechanic, it works. Now, the way it gets used in the show is a bit lame, in my opinion, but I'll go into more detail on that in the video about cortosis. Overall, the scene of having 8 Jedi fight a single Sith wannabe who's not even a proper Sith. He's apparently just a trainee or a yeah, actually, you know what? The out of canon stuff that they're apparently borrowing from is a guy who knew about the existence of the Sith and wanted to be one, but due to the rule of two, wasn't a proper trainee or something, and then gets killed by the guy who is Darth Plagueis. Which, okay, I don't see how someone like that would be able to fight 8 Jedi simultaneously. The idea that the Cortosis helmet gives him a major advantage is seemingly moot because, well, he mentions that he can't actually see people while he's wearing the helmet, and that it's somewhat difficult to hear. Although he later talks to someone normally while wearing the helmet, so how much it actually impairs his senses is somewhat debatable. It could be that it just impairs vision, because it is solid metal and it does not have eye holes. So you would need the force to see your opponents, which is actually something that kind of gets done in the movies. Like that's one of the things that Yoda was teaching Luke is how to use the Force to see the world around you. And supposedly that was something that Chimere has learned uh, from wearing this helmet so much. Is he actually has no intention of being able to physically see the world around him. And as a sort of a passive bonus to a boss in a game, that's a nice trick. You know, it's one of those things where it's people in various games have feats, and a feat that makes it so that people can never catch you off guard or uh, by surprise by like backstabbing you or something, where it's just physically impossible to do that because you literally can see behind you. Hey, you know what? That's a good idea. Thing is, literally any Force user can do that. Yoda taught it to Luke, who was a noob and not even a very good trainee. Granted, Luke learning it took him quite a lot of time and effort, but again, Luke was a noob and didn't actually have a whole lot of time and effort to learn it. Here we have a group of 8 Jedi, several of which are said to be Master level Jedi, who may or may not actually be able to do that. Yeah, this is one of those things where I'm just like, you do know that should be like everyone, right? Or at least available to everyone who's a Jedi. Again, in TTRPG parlance, that ability would be a feat, and not necessarily a feat that every character has. That being said, of course, it's a feat that should be available to everyone, and Another thing about this is that some of the ways he kills people are things where I'm like, okay, yes, I could very much understand killing random schlubs that way. Like one person, he holds his lightsaber out and just like force pulls the guy onto his lightsaber. Makes sense if you're not fighting a Jedi. I mean, like a regular person, yeah, absolutely, that would get them because a regular person doesn't have the ability to counter a force push or first force pull. And he leads the encounter by doing a force push so powerful it knocks back all 8 of the Jedi. Um, what? Yeah. Now you could phrase that one as a sneak attack where he gets advantage because of the fact that he caught them by surprise. Sure, okay, but you know, all of the Jedi's apparently fail their reaction roll and get knocked out. Okay, again, though, there's a lot of things to say about the combat in this because of the fact that there's 30 minutes of combat in this, and that's most of what there is to critique in this episode. And also, it's like trying to figure it out from a TTRPG thing. It's like, um, this is one of those things where the main bad guy basically manages to dodge or armor block every single hit, the entire episode, every single hit, until Jackie manages to crack his helmet, and even that doesn't injure him. It just, breaks his helmet so that people can see his face, and otherwise doesn't accomplish anything. I mean, I guess it makes it so he can't like block the lightsaber with the Kratos' armor anymore, but that's the only actual combat benefit to there. Anyway, the side plot with May and Jackie fighting was an interesting one because of the fact that in Day, May betrays Chimere by telling him that she's changed her mind about wanting to be a Sith and has decided to surrender and plead mercy from the Jedi in order to be reunited with May because her motive for wanting to kill the Jedi was because she felt that she believed incorrectly that the Jedi had killed her sister. Why she believes that Osha is dead is not fully explained and not explored much at all because of the whole thing is like Mace is the one that falls down the pit on Brindok. And from her perspective as someone falling down the pit on Brindok, she somehow comes to the incorrect conclusion that Osha died because she doesn't, s- see Osha again. Yeah, she doesn't find a corpse from Osha, so I don't understand why she thinks Osha's dead. Like I said, not explained. But due to finding out that Osha is alive, she suddenly has a change of heart. Then, when she meets Jackie, who she could surrender to, because, see, she was planning to surrender to Kelnaka and, ask Kelnaka for mercy and forgiveness or something or other so that she can be reunited with Osha. Kelnaka's dead, so she decides to fight Jackie instead of surrendering to Jackie. Now, from a TTRPG perspective, trying to assign characters to players and versus characters controlled by the game master. Um, I would say that May is in this case a character controlled by a game master, and the way she's behaving here makes it seem like the game master is rolling a dice to decide what May does. It's like, oh, is she going to be good or evil this time? Let's roll a dice. Oh, this time she's going to be good. Okay. It makes for a very confusing story path because it doesn't make sense for her to switch sides repeatedly like this. Because in a later episode, she does actually go through with the whole, wanting to be reunited with Osha thing, despite, despite the fact that she had previously tried to kill her, but we can write that off as a, heat of the moment thing. There wasn't a well thought out plan that she actually had any intention of um pursuing as a long term goal. Sure, whatever. It's stupid, but it's a logic that kind of sort of at least goes from point A to point B. But having her suddenly switch sides and decide to fight to the death with Jackie, why? Made no sense at all. Especially when it doesn't actually go anywhere. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's like doing this as a TTRPG. You have your group of players, and I would actually set that some of the Jedi who are in the group, because some of them are literally unnamed extras, like their characters literally don't have names, and that's kind of strange. Yeah, like it doesn't even list eight Jedi even in this list of credits here because the actual credits for the episode doesn't have them either. Very strange, but hey, whatever. Anyways, um, yeah, that's about it with this one. Because like the whole basic idea is like a long running boss fight where the boss is someone who doesn't, just hold still and fight. That's actually a cool idea. The actual mechanics of it involve some cool ideas. And, you have a distracting side quest for certain uh, party members to deal with because of the fact that the group came here to find Kelnaka. And they came here to stop May from killing Kelnaka. So when you have the majority of the group fighting Chimere, you have one person, Jackie, go to see if she can figure out where May and Chimere are, which, worked out and was actually a good story plot. The actual mechanics of the fight itself felt bloated. I mean, like, as quickly as he kills certain people and seemingly easily, it's just like, okay, so what was he screwing around with the other 15 minutes? Just like waiting for a good opportunity? And the fight with Jackie, honestly, it comes across to me after seeing it several times as if he's toying with her and not really trying to win. Because one thing to consider here is that at this point in the fight, when Chimere fights Jackie, Chimere has already decided to disavow May as an acolyte and is trying to find a new acolyte. So that would logically track that maybe he was being soft on Jackie because of the fact that he was trying to evaluate whether she might be a viable replacement. Maybe, but we know how that went down, and Jackie isn't seen alive again, unfortunately for whoever plays that character. But yes, and also we have that thing where May and Osha decide to swap places. Which do you really think that's going to work? Seriously? Okay, obviously Chimere knows, but Chimere's like, "Oh, hey, it's you. Yeah, I guess you're going to be my acolyte now." And that's the first time we get to see the planet that Chimere has been living on because, yeah, we've never seen his actual home base before. And at the end of the series, they still don't actually say his name, which is why people are speculating that he's based on Darth Venomous. And we don't actually know for sure because it's entirely possible that they went with the inspired by thing and created a new character, and that only certain aspects of Venomous are being used because, well, Venomous wasn't human. So, you see where this is going. I think that's about it here. It's like, because like the whole big boss fight thing that they went with here isn't a terrible idea fundamentally when you have a boss that's actually capable of like logically and realistically actually being, a boss that it takes an entire team and four retainers, because realistically that's more or less what the other four characters are. It's like you've never seen them before a day. Like they get introduced during day while they're putting together the team to go to Kofar to find Kelnaka. And then when they get to Kofar's cabins, most of them end up dead. Like there's a group of 8 Jedi. Yeah, I think Soul is the only one. Yeah, I think Soul is literally the only one that actually survives. All of the other ones end up dead, which is kind of lame because this is one of those characters where yeah, you get 2 episodes of screen time, very little information about the character. Honestly, we know very little other than she exists, and that's about it. Uh, honestly, that's kind of a shame. It's like, and that's it. Like that's one of those things I found to be kind of weird about this, and why I refer to those characters as being akin to retainers. Because even though these characters are, you know, proper Jedi, like at least Jedi Knight rank, probably. Actually, we don't know. Wh- uh, it's because of the fact that we have Jeki, who is a Padawan, following around people, fangirling over things every now and then, and acting weird other times. Uh, it's entirely possible that some of these characters are actually meant to be Padawans, which would explain why they get killed so quickly and easily. But, um, it's not explained. And that is something that you, as a game master, would be expected to do because of the fact that you're not going to have characters as NPC allies without players knowing what the characters are. And especially players aren't going to trust NPC allies they don't know anything about in universe when, you have someone literally going around murdering people. How do we know for sure that this person is who they claim to be? And yeah. Anyways, that's about that. Then they're trying to figure out how to like actually like write this and make it cool. Difficult. Because you have to put in plot contrivances to make sure the players don't kill the boss immediately, because they're going to try. And realistically, one of the things that we find out later is that it's actually theoretically possible that they could have. That's one of the things that gets weird later is that Soul goes one on one with Chimera. Although Chimera has apparently stopped using cortosis as a way to uh, deflect lightsabers, and thus um, loses his biggest advantage. Yeah, don't understand that, but whatever. See you later.